Anyway, I'm Pat.
Am I Will?
I mean, we could do a legit start, but I mean, might as well just start and then start talking, you know?
All right. This is Patrick.
I'm Will.
And I'm Chris. And we are Guys with Issues.
Man, I screwed that up.
Why?
You took my this.
I did. I took his this.
That's because you
And so
started weird.
yeah.
Yeah.
We're not going to do this again. This is a bit we've already unintentionally done from just 2 weeks ago?
Was it?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
But I left it in when Will made us redo it.
that was the.
But you don't listen. So
That-
He
nobody
heard that
knows.
one.
That's the one Pat and I listened to on the way back
So that
from
was-
the convention.
Oh, so it'll be last week's then if we
Yeah.
load this. So
Yeah.
so we're rehashing something that technically we recorded months and months ago, but just released last week.
It's
Yes.
hard to keep track of the jokes.
You know, that's because you normally don't listen to them anyway. You just say them once and you'll
Yep.
never know again.
Post and ghost.
But this is a live episode, not live, but recent. This is almost real to date.
Yeah. 07's in chat. This is live.
What?
That was
What was
that was
that?
Pat. Pat's the only one that got that joke in this room.
That's fair.
What is that? You're not
Okay.
going to tell us?
So that's like a Twitch thing.
I wondered.
Yeah.
It sounded very
Because if you
Twitch.
type 07, it looks like somebody's saluting.
Oh, okay. I see. Yeah, with the sevens, like the arm up.
Yes.
Okay, I see it. I understand the context now.
Mm-hmm.
But no, we're recording a special issue, Comic-Con issue,
Fan Expo issue.
Fan Expo, which is a Comic-Con.
I mean,
That is what it is. It is
More or
considered
less.
a comic convention. That is what it is.
there were plenty of comic books there.
And
So-
comic actors
And voice actors.
that act
Designers.
comic people on screen.
Right.
That's what a Comic-Con is. It's just nerd stuff.
Sure.
Nerd stuff.
But we went to Fan Expo.
We went to Fan Expo Chicago. The next one is Canada, I
And
think,
we're not going to that.
which is a shame because they have some people there that weren't at this one.
We might just
Hayden
go.
Christensen is going to be there. We could meet Anakin.
We could.
It's next weekend, this coming weekend now.
Oof. I do have a valid passport. Let's go.
Oh, man. I can't afford to do it again. You guys just went for a day, but I was
Well,
there for
you went
3.
ham.
I was there to support my pal,
And
and that was why I went for a whole weekend, is so he had somebody to hang out with. That's literally why I went, and I had
Yeah.
fun.
for the longest time, I thought he had a booth there for his comic book store.
He'd done it before in the past, but not it didn't generate enough revenue for him to really think it was worth spending the weekend doing it.
I see.
But it was a good time. I had fun. Friday when we went up, it was okay. We just walked the floor. So what Fan Expo is, I guess we should just say it.
Yeah.
But it's like, it had like we were saying, it had actors, it had voice actors, had a ton of cosplayers, it had comic creators, it had comic artists, it had a bunch of independent artists. There's a whole section that's just people who try to sell their art and crafts and things. And then there's a big merchandise area with T-shirts and bags and replica swords for cosplayers and all
Or
that kind of
guns.
stuff. Yeah, foam guns from Destiny. I almost bought that malfeasance.
That was a cool malfeasance.
It was a cool malfeasance. I have the Ace of Spades. My friend Dustin bought it for me one year. He bought The Last Word and he gave me Ace of Spades.
Huh.
So
It's nice.
I didn't see any last words there this time. I saw there was another one that was there, but I can't remember what it was. But I thought it was interesting. There was only Ace of Spades and Malfeasance at most of the booths. Popularity is dying. That's
Good.
actually not true, probably. I played last week.
Why would
Theo's
you do that?
been playing. Theo's been playing. He likes it. He's actually, I shouldn't let people know that, but like, I feel like his hand-eye coordination is pretty good with that game compared to some of the other stuff he does.
Well, he does love spaceships.
He does love spaceships and he loves riding the bike, but
At least there's not a lot of gore, any gore.
No, I still don't think it's good to let him shoot things, but he thinks that's fun. Most
Yeah.
of them are robots that he's like, I got that robot. So, but yeah, and he thinks having a robot friend, as in the ghost, popping that up, he thinks that's super cool. But he calls it the spaceship game.
Oh, of course. Yes.
So, but anyway, I went up for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. These two hooligans met me on Sunday for some fun.
We sure did.
Yep.
Originally, they were going to come up Saturday, and it didn't work. They had to go Sunday. I really wish you guys would have come Saturday, though, because Saturday was so much fun for me. I had a really fun time Saturday. Met Zachary Levi, who plays Shazam and Chuck in the TV show Chuck, and Flynn Rider in Tangled. Met him, got a fist bump from him and stuff. It was cool. Went to his panel. One of the funniest things I've ever watched live. No question.
No. Yeah.
He talked about all kinds of stuff, but he couldn't talk about the movies he was in because of the strike going on, which he talked about why they support it, how in 10 years the threat it has on so many people's jobs in the industry, the unfair treatment of like most people under his top, because he talked about being like in the 1% of actors who are like well paid and taken care of, and how pretty much like anybody under that is kind of getting crapped on from studios, and they're really striking ultimately for regulations and so that people also don't get screwed by the studio who are on those levels.
Yeah.
And it's not really the top people complaining. Ultimately,
No,
they're supporting the
but
people who do the work with them.
there's also an AI element.
A big one.
Yeah.
Big one. Because a lot of studios now, literally, like for extras, instead of paying you to be on set for a couple days and they pay you so much a day to be an extra, they're like, hey, here's like $20. We're going to take your picture and we're going to use AI to animate you in the background now and things like crazy stuff.
So, isn't that what all actors get paid for? To be extra?
Yep.
All actors are extra. Zachary Levi was extra. He cried on stage a couple of times.
Oof.
No, like in a good way though. Like
So it wasn't ugly crying?
No. Well, he had to hold himself back one time. He was getting super emotional. And he was hilarious too. Funniest thing is when he's like, how many of you is the first time being at a Zachary Levi panel? And a bunch of us raised our hands and he's like, yeah, you are in for a treat. I don't use a moderator. You guys came to see me and I came because of you guys. So we're not doing that kind of interview thing. It's just me and you. And he's like, so we'll see what happens. And then he goes, and for those of you with little kids in the audience, it's probably going to be their first time for some things too, because I'm super expressive and I love the F word. Except he didn't say the F word. He says, I find it to be very expressive. And so,
My oldest sister would also agree.
oh, she would. Yeah, we talked about that.
That Zachary Levi's expressive?
Yep.
Yeah,
That is exactly what I meant by that.
But yeah, his panel was so fun. Like, and he was just, you could tell he was very genuine. It wasn't an act. You could tell, like, just from what he talked about, and he like half of it felt like a motivational speech TED Talk kind of thing, where he's talking to people about mental health and doing all this stuff and about things that he struggled with, and like video game addiction and anesthetizing to try to cover up acknowledging problems you have. And like, he did like real talk, but then he also talked about his movies and it was hilarious. And
Yeah.
like, it was good stuff. especially since he couldn't actually say the names of the characters or movies.
Yeah, that happened in the Andy Serkis panel. Pat and I attended with you on Sunday.
Which was interesting.
It was interesting to hear him talk, but I feel it was more...
It was too far the other way.
Too scripted. I did this isn't a slight against Andy Serkis, but I feel like he was more acting on stage than being just himself. Part of that probably could be he was, because you said Zachary Levi slipped up once or twice.
He slipped up a couple of times and actually said the name of a movie, and he'd be like, "Crap,"
So
because he didn't do it on purpose.
Yeah, and Andy Serkis was probably like, "I'm just gonna stick." He probably got all the questions the interviewer, the moderator, had, and it's like, "I'm just gonna," because there was almost zero pause in between the moderator asking questions and him giving a response.
Yeah, it was a very normal interview, like what you see on television.
Mm-hmm.
I missed half of it.
Because you fell
I
asleep.
did.
Yeah.
Hey, you were watching Andy Serkis live and you fell asleep.
I was tired. I mean,
Yeah.
Now, I kind of regret, I wish he was one person that I considered getting an autograph from. And then you could have actually talked to him for a minute. Because when they sign your stuff, you stand there and you talk to them for a minute. It's your opportunity to get that moment of connection with somebody that you admire. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just because I do think he's the top tier of Hollywood. Speaking of which, him being heavily moderated, I think that's why they didn't do the open mic.
Oh, definitely.
Both of the other panels I went to did the open mic. And so I don't know why they were... One, the guy moderating it was an actual news anchor or journalist or something. He does interviews for a living for a Chicago news station.
Yeah, he even said that this wasn't the first time he interviewed Andy Serkis.
No,
either,
he brought up being in New Zealand once when they interviewed because he talked about putting the mocap suit on.
Yeah, I think he said he was at a wedding.
I don't know.
mocap wedding
In New Zealand?
Dude, that would be hilarious.
Everybody wears it, but that way you pay somebody afterwards to impose
really
other things.
Spruce it up.
Dude, if either of you ever find the right person, you need to do a mocap wedding. That would be awesome.
Feels expensive.
No, people do stuff like that at home now.
I mean, you gotta,
Dude,
true.
you have apps for that.
you can cut out the cost of your tuxedos, the wedding dress.
All
Wedding
you need
dresses
is a
are
big gray onesie with some balls on it. You
Yeah.
probably tape cotton balls on it and get tracking on
I
it.
really feel
Probably.
like you would have to find the right woman for that.
Yeah, that's how you know she's the right woman.
Are you down to a mocap wedding? Let's
Just
go.
at first date. That's the first question
It's
you
not
ask.
like you're asking to dress like a furry, okay?
I mean, it's a mocap thing. You can do whatever.
Technically, you could, I guess. Oh, speaking of perfect women that we would find in our lives, I just want to say I have a wonderful wife who would never actually poison me. nor did she sit around on her butt for 11 years when... Because I've realized that the few times that the way I've gone about saying some things might paint the incorrect picture of the lovely wife that I actually have. And she makes sure to correct me after she listens to the episodes. So, as you're listening to this, sweetheart, because I know you are, I appreciate you. She was a stay-at-home mom for 11 years. And that's why I said she has a real job now, because being a stay-at-home mom is a job. It's a job. It's work. And so I wanted to clarify. I have to make sure that I get all this out on a recent episode, so it's not like months down the line when I finally have a chance to say to clear the air.
Yeah, it probably is for the best.
Actually, are we just doing this? Do we want to read an email? We have one.
We have more
Do we
than
want to read the one that she said?
That's what I would.
Sure, who wants to do it?
I should have had us do this first. Are you gonna read it like you did with Heather?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. So here's our email segment.
I have not read this email.
Oh, we do have another email.
Yeah.
But do we want to throw it in since we're not doing like a real talk today? Do we want to read both?
Sure.
Okay. So you go ahead, read the first one, and I'll read the second this time.
All right.
Yeah. So I think I said I was talking to my mom, and she specifically isn't going to email us because she's too afraid we will read it on the podcast. So instead, I'm just going to talk about all the time she calls me and the stuff that we talk about. So
That works.
That works.
Yeah.
My wife, for episode, it would be issue 6, was texting me responses, and I told her, "Why don't you email?" And on set, it would have been 5, and then
Look, I don't know. I
don't know. No, she emailed on 7, text me on 6. That's what it was. Anyway, it is super unimportant, and I'm probably not going to edit this one much, so that's all going to normally get chopped out, but it's probably just sitting here now.
Yeah, this is how we actually sound, everybody.
We're flying by the seat.
Oh man,
we don't
no
wear
structure.
pants.
Steve.
No structure. Steve is here today.
Oh,
no
good.
structure, Nostromo.
He took the day off.
Wow. Anyway, the subject of this email is arsenic. Dear Christopher, I don't appreciate you slandering my name, and if you've noticed an uptick in your arsenic, I would encourage you to double check your ingredients because you have been making the majority of our meals since I started working in April. Maybe I'm the one that should be concerned.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. She should be concerned.
I also wanted to mention that while I definitely do not love dinosaurs more than you, they are in my top 5 favorite things. My top pick would be Lystrosaurus. I enjoy the buff they give, and they're great at backflips. I would like to suggest a couple for your February Valentine's issue, Nightwing and Starfire.
Oh, there you go.
I've never once looked up critic reviews to determine if I was going to see a movie. I don't know if I'm in the minority, but my desire to see a movie is solely based on the subject material and my reception of the trailers. I'm willing to make you merch and will even give you guys a family discount.
Ooh, I'm not even family. That's amazing.
Oh, she considers you family.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, and then she has the colon with the P with the the face
sticking your tongue out.
Sticking her tongue out.
Winky face.
And she says thank you. Then she signs off.
Yeah, she listens to us at work. It's one of her weekly.
I know. We gotta take that into account and just like talk about her, so that and just say stuff so that she starts busting out laughing. Because I hope she has earphones in, and so like nobody else can hear it, and so she'll just like start chuckling and like blush, and then her coworkers will just look at her like, "What's going on right now?" And she's just can't explain because it's just yeah.
We should.
Yeah.
That's a good plan. So you better watch out.
Yeah,
We're
she's our target audience.
Literally.
We're gonna target you now. Good luck.
Her reference to the dinosaur, by the way, is because she plays Ark.
I was gonna say like the buff it gives, and it's great at backflips. I'm like, yeah, it's
and she definitely likes dinosaurs more than me. I would debate that.
I mean, Theo had to get it somewhere.
Yeah. I don't know. I think she probably does. I would disagree with her on that one. There was something else I was going to say. What did I look at you when she said there was something in her email that I was going to tease about, but I wanted you to finish reading it. And oh, dang it. It was me this time. It was one. Stop it. Stop making the buzz. I was going to say, she and I had a discussion about the Nightwing and Starfire.
Yeah.
Because I told her, I said, I really like Nightwing and Barbara, like Batgirl. Oh. And because they have like the romance that I really like. But Nightwing and Starfire is what she wants. So maybe we'll have to talk about like we should do an episode, a joke one that's like the relationships of Dick Grayson.
That could be an extra.
Yeah, I mean, like he's had some really interesting love interests That's an interesting phrase.
Yep.
But I know I'm a big fan of. I'm a proponent of Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon. Starfire and Dick, I think actually, I might be wrong. So again, we fumble through our comic facts, and I have the most foggy years of knowledge up there. But I think that Dick did he almost marry Starfire one time? It was like leading up, and I think they almost got married.
I mean, look, I have absolutely no idea, so I'm going to say yes.
I'm pretty sure they were like headed that direction and had a huge fallout.
It sounds right to me.
Spoilers for the Valentine's episode.
Isn't there like an animated series where they are married and have a son?
I don't know. Maybe?
Maybe?
I have no idea.
Is this fan
fiction?
Idea.
Could be fan fiction.
Is this something you read on the internet?
Nightfire.
This is definitely something I've read on the internet.
If Starfire and Dick and Nightwing, we'll call him Nightwing, because her name's Corey. So if we're going to call her Starfire, we might as well call him Nightwing. If Starfire and Nightwing had a kid, would it be Nightfire or Starwing? Starwing, he would have to be a starship pilot, right?
Yeah.
So it'd have to be Nightfire.
Yeah. Or, they could
Sounds
be
like
their
a
own person.
sultry podcast. You're tuned in to Nightfire.
The podcast for arsonists.
Arsonist, anarchist, and I almost said something, but if I'm not doing a lot of editing, I'm not going to put that in. So anyway, we have another email. As you know, we're interrupting our con talk because why not?
Why not?
So this one is from an email called Ranger Reach Out, and I'll shout that out because Ranger Reach Out is a support group for mental health for people who are struggling, who are like kind of part of the Power Rangers fan community because of what happened with Jason David Frank and his suicide last year, I believe. It was either earlier this year or it was last year. I want to say last year. But this person, who I'll name at the end when they name themselves, well, actually, we're going to name him now because they named him Longbox Logan is the name of the email. So Logan of Ranger Reach Out emailed us. He said, "Hey, Logan here, waiting for the call guys to drop that y'all's show is finally up and running, and they finally did. I started with your origin episode, and I went right for my boy Constantine. When I was 7, my first 3 comics I picked up at the bookshop were in Warsaw. I wonder if it was Chimps.
It might have been.
Might have been Chimps in Warsaw.
That's fun.
When I was 7, my first 3 comics I picked up at the bookshop in Warsaw was Sonic the Hedgehog. I had a Sonic comic. Ghost Rider and Hellblazer. 7 years old reading Hellblazer.
Wow.
That's awesome.
No
and he
parental
said,
supervision.
And I've been reading comics ever since, and I lean hard into the supernatural and monster stuff. I have all 300 issues of the Hellblazer run from 1988 to 2013. In that run, John never once fell victim to any of the DC resets, which is true. It actually ran like 300 true issues. Then he said, as a diehard fan, I have got to say, I hate the movie robbed the character of everything that made him amazing. His attitude, his looks, even stripped him of being British. But the show, that was amazing. Matt Ryan is the personification of Constantine. And even after the show got canceled, he has voiced him in every animated rendition thus far. I'm a firm believer if the show had not been forced onto NBC, even though it was developed by CW, it would have survived. But unfortunately, the CW did not want another occult show with a guy in a trench coat and a tie. Now, that makes sense. I look forward to checking out even more of y'all's show. I'm a diehard fan of comics. I have a Green Lantern emblem tattooed on me. Hal Jordan for life. Yeah.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah. Along with Ghost Rider and Scud, the disposable assassin. Keep up the good work, and if you ever want a suggestion, I say y'all read Scud the Disposable Assassin, the whole shebang. Sorry, I write like trash, LOL. Longbox Logan.
Well, thank you.
That was great.
Yeah,
Logan.
thanks, Logan. And I know as a fellow, he is now a retired podcaster. His podcast was a paranormal podcast. He was part of, why am I blanking on it? I wanted to say Two Stop, but the United States of Paranormal. That's what it's called.
Okay.
The United States Paranormal. They actually have a huge following. Logan was a big part of their social media. He's no longer. He's moved away from that, I believe. And I know he's still very active in the Ranger community. So he even has like concept art for Rangers that like never existed and stuff.
That's awesome.
Whoa.
Yeah, no, it's cool stuff.
So, yeah.
He's a cool dude. He would be great to have on as a guest sometime.
Yeah. Longbox Logan, if you want to shoot me another email, give me some tips on that social media, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, please, Logan. Will would love to have input. They had like thousands of listeners a week or something.
Oh.
Like they were, I think it was a week or a month.
were
Like
hopping.
they were pretty big.
Well, it sounds to me like we need to read some more of that Constantine and bring
You
him
guys
on.
did enjoy it.
We did. It was very
It was
good.
know.
very good.
I think we need to check out this Scud the Disposable Assassin.
I know, right? That
Because just the
sounds good.
name of that, it rings a bell. Like I feel like I've seen the comic or the title, but
on the
I
list.
can't tell you about it. Oh, it's on. It'll go on the list. We'll probably do it sooner than later since it was a suggestion.
Oh,
Might
yeah.
as well bump it up.
Sure, bump it up.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you, Logan.
Thank you.
We appreciate that you're enjoying it. We love that you're a comic fan who's having fun along with us. If we read something you haven't read and you think it sounds good because of us, awesome. Check it out. Hopefully that we jive with you sometimes. I'm a fellow Lantern fan, man. We're gonna try to read some good Lantern on here eventually. So,
I mean, we did read some good Lantern, but
but it's not aired yet.
We could always have him on
oh,
when we do the
But,
lantern
but we're
stuff.
talking like the big Lantern stuff eventually.
Yeah.
Maybe we might do that.
Yeah.
Which Gunnar and I joked about, right? He thought maybe that would be our next one after this Nightfall run that we're doing. And I told him we've decided on what we're going to follow. Like we have a bit of a pocket between finishing Night Quest and Night's End, and then before we jump into doing something else that's ongoing. Which, by the way, if you listen and you are enjoying that we're doing an every other week thing, let us know that. We would love that feedback. The more people that let us know if yes you do like it or no you don't, that might help sway us a little bit into what we decide to do. But we enjoy doing the every other week thing.
did we ever explain why we do it that way?
Yeah, to give people a break. We explain it in one of the episodes.
Okay. Well, I thought it was because
It also
I
keeps
mean,
us from doubling up reading like a continuous arc and the opinion.
so,
Yeah, we say that early on.
it'd probably help if I actually listened.
It might.
But no, Gunnar made a comment about because I'm actually going to be on this week's if you're listening to this, I was on this week's episode of The Call Guys.
Oh, cool.
Talking about Batman. That was their theme. So Gunnar asked if I'd be on as their Batman guest. And we talk about Guys with Issues quite a bit. Gunnar and Colton brought it up. And he mentioned needing my comics back that he borrowed because he's like, oh, you guys are probably going to read Green Lantern. And I said, we will eventually. Like, that is something we're all interested in. And I know you two will like it. But I told him, if we actually do the whole story, like the 1 to end, which isn't crazy, but it is. I was like, if we do every other week and we do like 6 issues a week to keep it reasonable, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, we're going to read that for like a year.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, so I don't know what the best way. There are some like major story arcs that we could like hit and then stop for a while, do something else, hit, stop. But we'll figure that out. If you're listening now and you think that sounds cool or terrible, again, let us know.
Yes, please.
At longbox@guyswithissues.com.
I signed off my phone call with my mom with that. Like, all right, Mom, I love you. And if you have any comments or suggestions, feel free to email me at longbox@guyswithissues.com. And she was just laughing.
That's
I'm going to have to
amazing.
do that to my
That is
wife
amazing.
one day or something, man. That's so funny. Oh, man.
Oh, well, I should correct myself. I tried to sign off, but I did the whole Hoosier goodbye where I said that. We said goodbye, but then we just kept talking.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah. Apparently, it's phone calls when you're visiting people's houses. You say bye, you start walking in the door, and then you just start talking some more.
The Midwest goodbye.
That's what it is, the Midwest
Yeah,
goodbye.
Midwest goodbye. Then you talk in the driveway, and then you open your car door, and you just kind of hang out, and you talk a little bit more. And,
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's because we just love connecting in the Midwest. It's what we have.
Oh, yeah.
We don't have things to do. We just have people.
We have connecting and corn. That's what we have.
We have corn connections.
Corny
Corn.
connections.
Oh,
Hey, I got it.
Oh, you guys had a corny connection just
We
now.
Yeah. Let's go.
So, overall, though, so you guys saw the circus panel you mentioned. That's what we were talking about before the email. And then we thought, oh, email.
Yeah,
Hey, that's cool.
Back to the con.
Back to the con. So, and we all, it sounds like we all kind of felt the same about that it felt very manufactured, that panel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where, like I said, the Zachary Levi panel was like the total opposite of manufactured. It was a man on stage just talking. People would ask questions, and he is verbose. He's very gregarious and very emotive. And I was like, is this what it's like when people talk to me? Because I feel like he and I vibe.
Yes, it is.
And so that was so fun. I also met the voice actors for My Hero Academia, Deku,
Yeah,
the main kid,
That's a character.
That is a character.
and Tanjiro. Is that what we said? Demon Slayer?
Yep.
Tanjiro. I met the voice actors for both of them. Also, Tanjiro, for any of you who don't watch anime but happen to watch the Netflix anime for Cyberpunk 2077, Edge Runners, he also plays the main character in that wears like the yellow paramedics EMT jacket.
So just to inform everybody on how plugged in I am, I didn't even realize Netflix had a cyberpunk anime.
Yeah, it's like in the universe of Cyberpunk 2077.
No idea.
In the game,
Super
you
popular.
can find a brain dance of the opening scene of that show. And then if you follow the plot line, you get the jacket that the main character wears.
Oh, that's fun.
It kind of helped revive the game even because it was so popular. People who hadn't played it watched it, loved it, and wanted to experience more. And so it revived the game, basically.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
So I met a guy who was staying at my hotel who cosplayed his character from Cyberpunk. Like I saw the jacket, and it was like the Street Samurai demon jacket with like the things on the shoulder and all that. And I was like, it's Cyberpunk.
Did we see him on Sunday?
Yeah, I think we walked by him, and I said, hey, check that guy out. He's Cyberpunk. So Saturday, he didn't have it on. He said Sunday he was going to wear it, but he had a mantis arm attachment to wear, which is like a big blade that comes out of your arm in the video game.
Yeah.
He also, the gun he had strapped to his thigh was Johnny Silverhand's gun from the game.
Nice.
And like, but his whole outfit was his character from the game. Like shoes, jeans, like the way he was dressed is how he dresses in the game. He had the LEDs for the collar of the jacket, but he hadn't installed them yet. And so I pulled my phone out because I do all the photo mode stuff. And I was like, this is what my character looks like. And he was like, dude, that's awesome. And we talked for a while in the hotel lobby because all the cosplayers would hang out at night, like in this huge group by the elevators and escalators and stuff at the top of them. And they would just hang out. But it was like cosplayer exclusive for the most part. Some of them still had costumes on, some didn't, some had makeup, but they had all met throughout the day at like the cosplay meetups, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I talked to him for a bit, and he said he's been cosplaying Cyberpunk for years. He got the game at launch, fell in love with it, and he would go, he said once in a while he'd see like a Johnny Silverhand or somebody at a con, but he said like nobody was cosplaying it. And he was like, why? This game is so amazing, like the art style and the design and like it's just so cool. And he said, and then Edge Runner came out, and like at the con this past weekend, there were tons of people with like the yellow paramedic jacket and stuff. With like I saw quite a few people who at least had that jacket for cosplay. And he was saying that the anime actually has increased the amount of people he was seeing that had been cosplaying.
That's cool.
So he was trying to get more and more people into it, and he was like talking with them and stuff like that. You could tell he was genuinely like very passionate, like genuinely passionate about it. To the point where he was telling me that he has all these like things from the game, and he has them like on his walls at home, like weapons and things like that. Like it was just like it's like his favorite thing.
That's cool.
You could say
And
he
so-
was a fan.
Yeah,
Is a fan.
I think so.
which is
yeah.
why he was at Fan Expo.
Yeah.
But
It
yeah,
fits.
he was super pumped. He made me wanna play my character from Cyberpunk. It was just a cyber detective, man. My guy just looks
Yeah.
like a noir detective, and so it wouldn't be that hard.
No.
I just need like a light up visor. They had some there, like the over eye
Oh, did
ones.
they?
They did. I almost bought one just because I was like, it's like what my guy wears.
Right.
But yeah, there were so many cool cosplayers. There was a really cool Sephiroth there on Saturday. She was Trunks from Dragon Ball Z on Sunday.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But her Sephiroth looked really good. And it was so fun to just see all these people having a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pat and I walked in with Goku.
We did.
With the shirtless one with
Yep.
the big hair.
Yeah. White-haired Goku.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. He should have had like lights in it. Like he's charging up.
That would have been good. Yeah.
But what did you guys think? You've been to many cons, Pat.
Yes.
How did it compare to other cons you've been to?
It was Midland.
Okay, that's kind of Nick said this year he thought it was lacking compared to prior years, but this is one of the first years this company has taken it over. So
I mean, it was fine. I've been to smaller cons. I've been to larger ones.
Yeah.
It was all right for what they, the amount of people. I think they had a decent amount of stuff, but yeah, no, it was all right.
yeah, that's kind of what I felt about a lot of the shop floor area. Mm-hmm. Like it was a lot of the same stuff, kind of over and over. It was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think, Will? Have you been? I know you'd been to PopCon,
I've
and you've been to Gen
PopCon.
Con.
I've been to Gen Con.
Had you been to a comic focused con?
No, I don't think.
So
I
this
ever
was
have.
like your first like Comic Con kind of.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you think it compared to the other conventions you'd been to? Technically, Gen Con is bigger.
Gen Con is huge.
Gen
Although
Con is-
people-wise, the amount of visitors, it's not. They estimated around 70 to 80,000 at Fan Expo, which is top of Gen Con's record. So, but anyway,
No, I did enjoy it. It was a much different experience because I didn't expect to just be able to like walk into a panel because at Gen Con, even PopCon I think had a few actors with panels and stuff you can go talk to. Those all you had to pay for to get in. Like you had to pay for a ticket.
oh really?
Most cons
Yeah, like-
you don't.
Wow.
Like Gen
PopCon,
Con. Gen Con I think you do, don't you?
Not that there are things that you have to buy a ticket for, but most of them, there's a lot of stuff that you don't.
Interesting. Maybe all the stuff I just looked at.
Maybe.
that could be. But overall,
Yeah.
what were your feelings about it? How'd you feel about it? What'd
It
you
was
think?
it was all right. Felt like it didn't have quite as many vendors there. Obviously, the area is a lot smaller.
Yeah, I think that might have been what it was. The area that it's in isn't. Just like it's surprising that they had 70 to 80,000 people.
Yeah.
Go through there.
Over the course of the 4 days, just like what they estimate for.
Because
Yeah.
size wise, it's a lot smaller than.
Well, it also has that upstairs area, but there's no like vendors. That's where all the panels and stuff are.
Right.
Yeah,
Still,
yeah.
size wise, it's like.
But like Gen Con has, like I think
I mean,
it's
Lucas
two-
Oil's conference buildings are huge.
Right.
They are like much larger, but I think they have like 2 exhibit halls together, if I remember right.
Yeah, they're like adjacent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Dragon Con is spread out amongst multiple buildings.
Oh, you brought up Dragon Con. It's coming up.
Yeah, I'm not going this year.
You know who is? He's been posting it.
No.
Will White.
Oh, is he?
Will White's going to Dragon Con.
Man, maybe I am going to Dragon Con.
It's like is it this weekend, next weekend? It's
I'd
soon.
I'd say I'd take my books, get them signed, but I think he's already signed them.
Have him sign them again.
Double signed.
Oh, did you see he posted the? Oh, you guys don't follow him like that, do you?
No.
I do follow him on Twitter, and I saw he had posted something.
Did you see he posted the soon to launch Kickstarter books 4 through 6 and pictures of them.
No, I haven't
Nope,
seen that.
I hadn't seen that.
Yeah, it's officially a Will White podcast again. Okay.
Okay, bring it back. Bring it back.
So, yeah, Will White's going to be at Dragon Con. I don't know if Travis Baltry is. I didn't see, but Will is. And the next Kickstarter launch is soon.
Amazing.
I know, right? And Will's going to have to buy 6 books this time.
Yep, and now that I didn't crash my truck.
Yeah, this time around, you're okay.
Yep.
Things are fine.
Yep,
You got a
everything's fine.
promotion. You got raises.
Yep.
You haven't had any major expenses at this point.
No.
So you're going to buy a bunch of collector's books.
And actually get to read them. I've only ever listened to the audio books, so I've never physically read them. So
This would be a good way to do it, too, because you don't have
Yeah.
to read it digitally.
yep.
Yeah. Man.
Exciting.
Oh, he's doing like a get-together at a hotel after the convention, too. Like in the lobby.
Man, you're really
it's like for
selling this to me.
fans. It's like a fan meet and
Where
greet, like
where
hang
is
out.
Dragon Con?
That's what it's. Is it Georgia?
Yeah, it's in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah, so he lives in Florida. That's why.
I'd still make the trip.
It is so tempting.
Would we be willing to carpool down for a day to meet Will White? I mean, I'm
Well,
open to it.
It takes a
right?
day to drive down.
Not if you have 3 of us.
No, it takes like 12 hours to drive down.
Well, it's not a day.
That's half a day, Pat. And
Half
that's
a
only
day,
4
Pat.
hours of drive. Dude, it takes me 12 hours to drive to North Carolina with a car full of people, and I'm the only driver.
So what I'm saying is, we can't just drive down there, meet him, and then come back.
No, because we'd have to stay for the lobby meet
Right.
and greet. So we
Yeah.
have to have one night of a hotel
So it would take
stay.
3 days.
No, we leave stupid early. Get down for the con. We go to the con for a little bit. We meet him at the meet and greet. Hang out. One night hotel. Drive back the next day.
All right.
Sold.
We're all like,
The next special episode is going to be
Dragon
about Dragon Con.
I'm gonna
How the
regret that.
oh, it would take us weeks to recover
Oh, yeah.
the way you and I are.
Cool.
Will would be
All-
like, you guys are old.
mentally,
he would be
physically, financially, the recovery is going to take so long.
But we
yeah.
get to hang out with Will White.
This is almost. So we're a comic book / Will White podcast.
That's what's-
basically at this
Right.
point.
At this point.
Ah, shoot. So,
Yeah.
did you guys, was there anything that you saw or anything that you wanted to talk about personally? I mean, I was there. I saw a lot more. I did more. But
Yeah, the artists were really cool. We saw a lot of really cool. I bought some shirts.
you did.
Yeah.
You're wearing one now, but not one of your like super
No.
unique ones.
So I will say that if you want cool nerd shirts, the company was called Shark Robot. You go like sharkrobot.com. They have Pokemon, Final Fantasy. I think they had some Studio Ghibli stuff.
I think so.
If it was the right
Ninja
booth.
Squirtles.
Yeah,
though.
they did. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to get that shirt.
Yeah, Teenage Mutant Ninja Squirtles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So I will definitely promote them because they had a lot of cool art.
it's true. Yeah, I got my daughter an Eevee Evolution shirt with like these cool neon designs, and a shirt for my wife with the evolutions of Charmander eating ramen. It's like in a giant bowl. They're like hanging
Yeah,
out
I got
in
the
it,
same
and
one, but it's got Bulbasaur on it.
That's
I
my favorite. I like Bulbasaur.
And then we all got
Yeah.
those really cool music sheets.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't buy any.
Oh, you didn't buy any?
You didn't buy one at all?
Nah, I looked. I'm like, these are cool, but
But not your cool.
I'm a pass.
I'm going to hang them up in my office at work.
Oh yeah.
Why don't you explain what it is?
It's a music sheet from popular culture, films and things, TV shows, that has artwork of that TV show on it and a song from it.
Yeah, so the artwork is almost like screen printed. It almost looks like it's
Yeah,
like
I would say
a
so.
screen
Yeah.
printed
Right.
kind of piece.
Well, I think the
of
whole
artwork.
thing is
just
'cause you
printed straight on.
yeah, you can do multiple layers of screen printing. So they did the. I think most of from what I remember, they would print the art and then they just print the sheet music over the top of
Yep.
it.
Yeah.
And they look really neat.
Except
I got
for-
a couple for my wife. My wife loved those, by the way.
Did she?
Loved them.
My favorite was the Kirby one.
I didn't see the Kirby one.
There's that.
Yes. No,
that-
it was
'cause there's
sucking. It was sucking the notes in.
Yeah, because it was doing the thing
like,
where it was like, sucking it in.
That's
It was,
cool.
yeah, they like
Great.
swirled the notes so it looked like he was sucking them
That's
in.
amazing.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you couldn't use it the way you could the other ones, but it was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. My wife loved that Spirited Away one.
I think the
good.
Animaniacs and the Pinky and the Brain were also very hard to read. Just
Yeah,
because
because
of
they have
the-
a background.
yeah they had
they actually have
a
like a
dark
full
blue
scene.
background and but still awesome.
Yeah, I got Batman the Animated Series with all the characters on it.
Which does not surprise me in the
No,
least.
and X-Men. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Though I wasn't going to get myself one besides the Batman, but the X-Men one's like my favorite theme music from that era, pretty much.
And then I also got a really cool messenger bag with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Enterprise D on it.
It's a nice bag,
It was a
too.
very nice bag. No.
He didn't want to
Have you-
get it.
have you had a chance to use it?
I used it to haul those music sheets around.
Yeah.
So
work.
technically, I've used it.
Good.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
And then I got a poster, a cool Mandalorian poster.
Yeah, you did.
Oh,
Signed.
that's
That
right,
was
from
awesome.
Heroic Fine Arts Gallery.
Yes, I've bought art from a licensed gallery individual, and it was signed by
So it did have the signature
it had a
from the
sign-
artist.
yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
You know,
Even-
Bo Katan was there. You should have paid to get her to sign
that would
it.
have been cool.
That would have been very cool.
Katie Sackhoff was there. You could have, because that could have, anytime any of them was at a con, you could have had them sign it. Then.
Well, he could still do it. I mean,
That's true.
yeah, you could look that up, take that with you each time.
That could be your
signed,
con
and-
thing.
I'll have Will White sign it.
I mean, you
Stop.
can.
Do you like Mandalorian? Not really. Sign my poster.
But sign my poster.
He's like, I didn't even work on this. Do you see the lack of caring on my face?
You're like, I want your autograph on something besides my books. I already have that, man. But
Fun.
that would be ridiculous. Taking things to have signed by people that have nothing to do with it.
I mean, I still think it's going to be great. We got to find Zachary Levi again.
Oh,
gonna
don't say
bring-
it. Don't say the idea.
Okay. I won't
Because
say it.
because we can't have other people doing it before us. It's possible that
It's-
other people aren't doing it.
It might be, everybody, folks, that we've had an original idea, but we're not going to tell you
Or
what it is.
if not completely original, probably
Rare.
very, very rare.
Probably, yeah.
So you can't say what it is because
Fine.
I regret not doing it.
Not until.
But I wouldn't
after
have
we
had
do
the
it.
budget to do what I did if I would have bought that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't that would have been my thing.
Right.
So what did you buy, Chris? Would you
Well,
like to,
I had to make a phone call to my wife.
I had to call the banker.
So we had discussed earlier about the possibility of me finding something cool, trying to get something to celebrate my promotion, maybe put something on my desk. But there wasn't a whole lot of stuff there that I was like, oh man, that's what I need, right? And I found something on, I don't remember if it was Friday or Saturday. I think it was Saturday. And I saw it, and I looked through every single one. It was at the Heroic Fine Arts Gallery that Will bought his Mandalorian poster.
Yep.
And they had some other really cool stuff. Like, they had a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
neat stuff there. They also have a Facebook page, and so if you do want to see their stuff, they have a website. Like, if you just type in Heroic Fine Arts Gallery.
They sell stuff on eBay too. So
I didn't find their eBay store, but I did look at their website. They did not have what I bought from them on their website that I could find. But I will definitely look for them at each con I go to. I think that would be a place that even to
depending
get
on the
things.
frequency of the con.
Well, I was thinking like even to get things like what you got, they were reasonably
Oh, yeah.
priced. Okay, what I bought was reasonably priced for what it was.
Yes.
True, it is.
It
a
is
one of a
not what
kind.
you would want to spend every time you go
No.
somewhere. So,
Not unless I made a lot more money than I do now.
yeah, me too. But,
But
shovel.
oh, as of now, nobody has successfully completed the butt shovel contest currently going on.
Will anyone?
Will anyone tell us what exactly a butt shovel is? We've been approached. I've been approached by 2 people who have some ideas. One of them went back to listen to the episode again to try to hear if there were any hints, because technically there is a hint. We say something. I hit the mic. We say something that does give a hint, but if you are uninitiated to a specific thing, it will mean nothing to you, is the problem.
Yes.
So,
Lost
that content
in a sea of mystery.
So what are we thinking? If somebody doesn't get it in a few weeks, we start dropping hits on social media?
If nobody comes close, if people start guessing and anybody comes close, I say we tell them they're close, and we drop maybe a hint.
Or the funniest.
Funniest answer?
Yeah.
Well, that wouldn't be hard.
Yeah, that wouldn't be hard.
It would be hard.
Would it?
I mean,
I think butt shovels are pretty hard.
I knew that's what my brain said, and so I didn't say it.
Because you knew it was coming.
So I was at the Heroic Fine Arts Gallery, and they had a couple of crates of original animation cells from various cartoons. They had a few different ones.
Yeah.
They had some from Justice League. They had some from Batman Beyond. And they happen to have some from a show, I don't know if we've ever talked about it on this podcast, but it's called Batman the Animated Series.
I think we've talked about it this episode issue.
So, yeah, it was, they had lots of different choices. They had various ones of Batman. They had some of Nightwing. They had some that were just Nightwing.
Right.
And there was 1 or 2 of those that I thought was kind of cool. And some with Robin. They had a Batman and Robin. They had one or two that were signed by Kevin Conroy, the voice actor of Batman, who is my favorite Batman, who's played him more than anybody else between movies and television and video games. And I could definitely not afford that. It was priced at least $100 or $200 more than the one that I
think it was either $150 or
so
over.
I knew that one wouldn't be negotiated to my budget level.
Right.
But it, he passed away, and it was very sad. And so seeing things that are signed by him make you want to get them, because you're like, I can't get that signed any other way.
Nope.
But no, I went through, and the interesting thing is, while there were a couple Batman ones that I thought were really cool, there were a few villain ones that stood out even more. I'm a big Two-Face fan in that, and there was a pretty cool one in that. And they had a Ra's al Ghul that looked really good. But there was one cell that really jumped out to me. Just like, and at both times I looked through it 2 different days. And both times I was like, if I'm going to get one,
this is the
one I want. And it is of Mr. Freeze. And if you've listened to the call guys this week, you've actually seen it if you watch their YouTube episode. We'll post it on our social media. We should show off our stuff. We talk about it, right? We should post the things we talk about.
Post it up.
So, yeah, since you're in charge of that, I will send you photos, right? But it was Mr. Freeze standing, looking into Nora's tank. Like, the perspective is you're looking over his wife in cryostasis. Over her shoulder, you see like kind of half of her person, her hair and her shoulder. And he's got his hand up on the tank's glass, and he's looking at her through that. And it's from an episode called Deep Freeze? Frozen Heart? No. What is it called? It's Freeze something. I think it's Deep Freeze. But it's from season 3, and it is such a cool one. And something cool for anybody who knows about Batman or Batman the Animated Series is that the tragic origin of Mr. Freeze's backstory of his wife and her terminal illness and the corporation being willing to shut it down and kill her to stop his project. that was made in the animated series. Before Batman the Animated Series, Mr. Freeze was just a bad guy with a cold gun. And he was just a
really
villain,
cool.
just a normal villain. And so it's cool to me that it's really cool that Mr. Freeze was a character I've always liked since I was a kid because of the tragedy of his origin. And I, for years, didn't realize that that tragedy came from where I first saw Mr. Freeze, which was from Batman the Animated Series. And buying this cell has opened my eyes as a comic lover and Batman enjoyer and made me realize that all these years where I talk about my favorite villains and favorite Batman villains, Mr. Freeze is actually one of my favorite villains, and I have never really thought about it. But whenever he's been in like the Arkham games and the stories that are tied to him and that have always been some of my favorite parts. And like when I see comics with him on the cover, even if I don't know what's been going on, I'm always like, oh, I kind of want to read that one. And it's never clicked that that means that he must be one of my favorite villains, right? And so once I bought that and came to that realization, I was like, oh, man, I love Mr. Freeze. I didn't even know.
This makes so much more sense.
So
Personal
it's really
revelations.
cool. It's really cool.
Yeah.
And
Oh, is it Mr. Freeze? It's
Really cool.
It's just the coolest animation cell you can find.
It really is.
It was too. And so I am glad to have gotten it. I don't normally spend a lot of money on collectibles, on like a single collectible. I don't do that very often. And especially if it's for me. Like if my wife would have wanted one, I probably would have bought it for her anyway. Like not even thought about it. But
Yeah, but
being for me, I was like,
if you think about it, this is a thing you can keep it safe, up, and
it
then like,
secret.
I was going to say that.
yes, good. And then, Theo loves Batman,
He does.
and so when he's older, moves out on his own, maybe he can get himself an animation cell.
Yeah. Yep.
Leave it to him in your will. There you go.
Yeah. I have a feeling I'm going to have a few more now. That's the problem with collecting things is once you get one, if you realize it's something you really value. And I don't know if having more than one would depreciate the amount I appreciate it.
Yeah. So maybe you
But-
should explain what an animation cell is.
So an
real quick,
animation
just so
cell is
people
the
don't know.
actual like piece of arranged drawn hand animation that was used and photographed for the television show.
Yeah.
This was actually taken and used in the episode of the series. So,
Yeah, so it's
that's
one
what
of a
makes it so
kind.
cool. It's got a certificate of authenticity. It's got a stamp from Warner Brothers. I would like to get it signed by some of the people involved, the ones that are still around. Many of them
Yeah.
are not. The guy that voice acted Mr. Freeze has actually passed away as well. So he's never going to sign it, unfortunately. So.
Unfortunately.
But yeah, it was a cool moment. It's the only thing I bought for myself besides I guess I did pay the $5 to buy the sheet music, Batman the Animated Series, and the X-Men one. But that was because they had a deal, and I was already buying my wife several, and I couldn't find another one for her, so I bought one or two for me. I thought about getting some for my kids, but I wasn't sure if they would really like them. So yeah, that's why this was the one thing, like really the one thing that I got for me. But I guess second, I'm going to count the other sheet music. Might as well, right?
Might as well.
But yeah, so it was cool. I also, man, I'm talking so much because I was the one that was there the most, right?
Yeah, we just kind of
And you had the
wandered
most,
around the
best
hall.
experiences, yeah.
I did. Another really cool thing that you guys jump in if you want to ask questions or talk about is that I got to see, and not that this has to go on forever, but I got to sit in on a panel that Frank Miller did. Frank Miller, who did The Dark Knight Returns, which is considered by many to be like the best piece of Batman literature ever written. It's not my favorite, but I do understand why it's acclaimed, and I do really enjoy aspects of it. But he created 300, which we've all seen the movie of, the three of us, probably many of you listeners. And this year is the 25th anniversary of the creation of the comic 300. And so the panel it had some other artists that are pretty big in the industry sitting in with him.
So I want to jump in there for a second, and I'm so glad you didn't say the creation of the movie.
Because that would have made you feel really old.
It really would have.
No, the movie came out like, I think I was out of school. Yeah, I wasn't even in school anymore when that movie came out.
That's why it would have made me feel old.
Yeah.
I was still in school.
Shut up.
I mean, you were like 3 days ago, so I don't know what you're talking about.
I was not.
You're like, that's not true.
No. You're like, that's not true. It was still summer vacation.
Right?
Well, that's true. They did just go back.
I know.
That's funny.
Sorry, I'll stop picking on Will now.
No, please don't. Please don't. It's one of the
is-
highlights of everybody's listening
Okay,
experience.
I will pause picking on Will now.
Okay, that's better.
Yeah.
To be continued.
But he did talk about what inspired him, why he made 300, how he came up with the panel design. Something really interesting is the original printing is vertical like a normal comic book, but if you buy the complete graphic novel, it's horizontal. It's actually long ways instead of upright.
Oh, that's interesting.
And that's because his panel design, when he first did it, he liked the landscape look of the horizontal, but he knew nobody was going to print that and approve that for a comic. So he did it the other way because he wanted to get it made. But he knew, but as soon as it got optioned to go in a graphic novel, he knew he was going to push to have it published sideways and the panels elongated.
And it went sideways.
No, it didn't. It went perfectly.
No, it went sideways.
I feel like you're both saying the same thing.
We are, and we're not. We're two sides of the same coin.
Two-Face.
Two-Face. But, well, never mind.
Who's the scratched up side?
I'm definitely Harvey Dent. That is definitely Two-Face sitting over there.
Thanks.
We've established that. Not at this point in the recordings that people have heard, but later people will hear.
You sure? I think
Yep.
we have.
I don't believe we've called Will a villain yet, but in the last several episodes, his true nature's come out. So spoilers, we do have a villain sitting with us. Also, I want to now cosplay so bad because
The Disruptor?
no, that he's
Oh.
stop it.
Well, yeah, but
We've
you'd be
never said
cosplaying
that.
him.
So, I'm going to dress like Will. But no, being there and seeing so many people cosplaying, I'm just like, I'm never coming to something like this again without doing it. It's too easy and fun nowadays. Right?
Seems like a lot of work.
And fun
I mean, if you want to be stopped by a bunch of people with cameras all the time.
if you're good. Just do a crappy one and have fun, and nobody will stop you.
I don't know if that's actually
Unless
accurate.
it's good crappy, and then you're
Right.
going to get stopped.
If it's good crappy.
What's
you're
good
gonna get
crappy?
Where it's like he didn't put in a lot of effort,
Look,
but people.
But he looks like him.
Look, there is I don't know what he's on, Twitter or Instagram or whatever. This guy who does extremely bad cosplays. And I think that's how he makes his living. So you can't tell me.
Oh man, that would.
Or it's like cheap cosplay.
So it's the polar opposite of like the guy we saw on Sunday with like the functional Iron Man suit with like the color coming up from like the snap glove and the helmet that moved and all that stuff. Like, like people who have engineered a cosplay costume. Oh, but anyway, Frank Miller talked about how the inspiration that he had for the 300 story, because it is a historical tale, and he went to the movies when I think he said he was like 7 years old. It was in the 60s, and he was like, he saw the movie The 300 Spartans with his dad and his brother. His dad was sitting in front of them because he didn't want to sit with them, he goes, because we didn't want to be seen with our dad or something like that. So he and his brother, his older brother, were sitting in the row behind their dad, and they watched the movie The 300 Spartans, which was a kind of a swords and sandals movie. And I actually have it on like DVD. I bought it in like a $5 bin years ago. And he remembered watching it, and at the end, all the Spartans die. Leonidas dies. And up to that point, everything he had ever watched where there were heroes, especially in that era, the heroes always won. They won. They defeated the villain. They got the girl. And that was the story.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he said the entire conception, like his entire paradigm and understanding in his life of what truly being a hero meant shifted in that moment from being the person that wins the day for good to being the person that's willing to give up everything to do what's right.
Cool.
And he said that stuck with him his entire life. And that's why he writes the kind of stories that he writes. And they tend to be like gritty and down to earth. But the heroes in them are usually like, they'll push to the very limits because that's what heroes do. And, but he talked about how like right then, you know, he was like, one day I want to do something with this story. And sure enough, when the opportunity came, he did. And so it was cool. And he said he always chose aesthetic and art over historical realism. He said somebody asked him in the panel, somebody asked if he was ever criticized because it's historically inaccurate. His version of 300, you know, like they don't wear armor. They're all like naked and fighting and stuff. And he goes, no, I've never had anybody complain about it. He goes, because it's captures the essence of the story and it just looks cool. He goes, when you make something visual, you need it to stand out. You need things to. He's like, I kept their shin guards because I thought those looked cool in the silhouettes. And he's like, and I kept the Corinthian helmets. He goes, those are the helmets they wear are Corinthian helmets, he said. And he goes, and I like that. He goes, but putting them in armor and stuff, he goes, the first time I drew a Spartan that was historically accurate for the story, it looked like a poor man's Iron Man is what he said. He goes, it looked boxy and like, it didn't look exciting.
So he's kind of like us when we play video games. We'll get a piece of armor, even if it's better or, you know, gear, whatever. But if it doesn't look cooler, we're not going to use it.
Yeah, you just get rid of that.
Yep, that's exactly what he does.
Throw
with
it
his
away.
comic books. Yeah.
I don't do that.
No, you save it and hope that one day they add a transmog system so you can use it and look cool at the same time.
No, I don't care about looking cool.
Pat.
I guess it's just us.
Oh, Will. No, we are definitely
Man of aesthetics.
We are.
Now, if you give me the option to overwrite what it looks like so I can look cool, I will use that. But I'm not going to not use a piece of armor because I don't look cool.
The only time I do that is when I'm stuck in blues when I have to regain my light level in Destiny. I don't worry about it until I get closer to the level cap.
Anyway.
Anyway.
You guys just don't want to mention Destiny, even though you've spent plenty of hours itching your arm wanting to get it in those veins. Don't you lie to me.
I'm really trying to ghost Destiny.
He said that because my wife gave me a ghost Lego thing. It's not an official Lego set; it's a knockoff, but it's on my desk.
It's really cool looking too.
It is. I'll show you a picture. But yeah, Frank Miller's panel, super cool. Getting to listen to one of the most legendary comic creators of all time talk about how he did his stuff, how he has his ideas. Kind of his process is completely bonkers. And even Frank Cho was on the panel, who's known to be outstanding nowadays, right? And he even made a comment that the thing that attracted him to comics, and especially Frank Miller's, is that his layouts and his designs were like so unique and different. He's like, Frank Miller's been doing this for decades, and he's still putting, like, even his old stuff is like aesthetically more advanced in its arrangement than anything people do today. And he's like, I don't even know how he does it. He goes, but that's what inspired him to, like, he is one of the people that inspired him to draw comics and stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's like, I love hearing people talk like that. That's what made that panel so good. And they did have mics that were open and they asked questions, and a girl talked about how her dad got her into comics. She was cosplaying as Raven, and she talked about, like, how Dark Knight Returns was one of, like, her first comics that her dad had to read and all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. It was good. Good time. I had a great time.
Yeah.
Saturday was outstanding. By the way, Sam Raimi was there, the director of Spider-Man and Evil Dead.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
The Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Oh, okay.
And he stayed in our hotel, and Nick, who I was there with, rode the elevator with him.
That's cool.
Oh, what
Yeah,
was
like-
his elevator pitch?
Not to talk with him and make him feel weird inside an elevator.
Okay.
But Nick later saw him in the lobby during Beatles Fest and did get a picture with him in the lobby.
Man, he didn't look at him and be like, wow, I really hope that gas station sushi doesn't kick in right now.
never mind. I'm not even but I will tell you, I almost had you guys bring up my Spider-Man movie poster with the Twin Towers in his eyes, and Sam Raimi, I found out, would not sign that poster, so I didn't have you bring it. But that would have been an awesome thing to have signed.
Right.
It would have been so cool.
Right.
I could have had you bring one of my Spider-Man 2 posters. I love those. And that's like one of my favorite superhero movies of all time. But anyway, lots of cool people. If you ever get a chance to go to a Comic-Con, I'm going to tell you right now, one of the ways you're going to boost your enjoyment, even though it costs money, but not necessarily a lot, is try to meet somebody that has worked on something that you thought was cool. Part of the reason Will and Pat didn't have as good of a time, I think, is because some cons, especially Fan Expo, there are quite a few actors, voice actors, people like that, directors, writers. And if you don't really care about that, which is fair, that's fine. Not as big of a deal. But if there's a show you like and you find out somebody's going to be there that was in it, it's a cool opportunity to get to meet somebody that you've appreciated their work.
Like Will White at Dragon Con. That's coming up in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah.
Labor Day weekend.
I feel like...
Is it Labor Day weekend?
Every year.
I feel like...
I can't go then.
That's one of
Unless I tell my wife I'm meeting Will White. Hey, when you listen to this week, Sierra, send me a text at my phone number and let me know if meeting Will White would be worth missing the camp out.
You're just going to be at work and she's randomly going to text you no?
Just no.
She'd be like, only if I could come too.
That's fine.
Yeah, I got a van, man.
There you go.
We can
Not
all
a van
go.
van. A van man.
But, yeah, go to a con, though. It's fun. Cosplay. Figure out a cosplay. Even a closet one. Find what you have in your closet. See who you can look like.
And at some point, we might actually get a booth at a con.
Yeah, then you can come see us.
Then you can come see us.
Yeah, and we'll have merch to give away. Sell.
We might give some away.
We'll do
mostly
a raffle.
Sell. Yeah. We'll get one of them spinny board things.
Oh, yeah. And you can get
we can do carnival games.
Yeah.
You can get a
carnival
9x11
game.
of Pat.
And you can get all the
You
issues.
can get Pat's face in his top hat, and he'll sign it for you.
Sure. I'll sign my face in the top hat.
That should be your signature. Like a
face and a top
face
hat.
and a top hat.
I'm not sure how I don't know how I could integrate that into my signature, but I'll work on it.
Dude.
Not very much.
I have an idea already. I'm going to have to show you. I think there's a way to do it.
We'll work on that.
Yep. We'll white on that.
We'll white on that?
Yes.
So, you guys have anything else? I know I dominated this because I was there the most.
I mean, I think you talk most of the time in these podcasts anyway. But just so you know, everybody listening, this is how we are all the time. Pat and I just stand there, be like, yep,
Don't. Yeah, but it's because...
And Chris just talks.
Wow. I feel like that's not a compliment, but it's a dynamic that we have.
It is a dynamic.
And I pause more often in our normal conversations, probably. And I cut out all my pauses on the podcast because sometimes you guys just don't say anything when I pause. So I keep going. I mean,
Pat and I were talking. We both kind of feel bad about there's an issue coming up where we kind of were asleep at the mic.
Yeah.
Because we were out real late.
It's okay. I don't even know if I've listened back to that one yet.
I'm sure you will eventually.
Oh, yeah, because that's my job. that's
I looked over at Pat this. I'm like, I haven't spoken in quite a while. Pat's just like leaned back from the mic over here, not looking like he's about to engage at all.
I know. I kept looking at you guys being like, oh,
I'm glad you know exactly which one we're talking about.
I do.
I don't even remember it.
I can tell you the night it was and everything. But that's okay.
We went out to eat at this restaurant in Warsaw called Noah Noah's.
To celebrate the launch of our podcast.
Yeah.
And then we came back to record and it was super late. And Pat was like,
a bad idea.
Literally half asleep. Like without exaggeration. Eyes half closed like the whole.
Might as well have been at an Andy. Might as well have been at an Andy Circus panel.
Might as well have been.
Nothing against Andy Serkis.
No,
he
Andy
was still
Serkis is
enjoyable to
great.
listen to. But yeah, Pat definitely fell asleep. And yeah.
Yeah, I wish I wouldn't have, but
He had a lot of interesting stories.
yeah.
I liked listening to the story about his parents seeing him naked on stage turning into
I
a dog
heard
boy.
that story.
Man, theater actors and comedians have such funny stories about their parents.
Could
coming
you
to see them.
imagine, though?
I just feel like I would have told my
Stripping
parents.
down, and if you just, that's that moment you make eye contact with your mom in the
or,
audience.
or your
I just
dad.
would've
or your
been-
dad.
I just would have just said, "Hey, look, I understand this is like my first big role and all, but you might want to skip it."
Yeah.
They've seen you naked before.
Or at this
I think it's
this
not
point in
after a certain
time,
point.
close your
grown man.
eyes.
If you need to use the restroom, now
This
would be
would
an
be a
excellent
great
time.
time.
Right?
No, he had it. Also, I didn't know he liked rock climbing. That was an interesting
Yeah,
thing.
that was
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because of how he climbs the walls when he's Gollum, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's, yeah, sure.
No, it was still fun to listen to, even though it was a much more formal interview. It was an interesting conversation to be a
I
part
was
of.
actually
Oh, yeah.
surprised it was only 30 minutes long.
Yeah, which is way shorter than our podcast.
Right. I guess on that note, I'm Patrick.
This is Will.
And I'm Chris, and you have been listening to some guys with serious issues.
Extra issue.
Extra issue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Numero
Special.
uno.
So,
I probably
Yeah,
just
that's
offended somebody by my horrible
What?
accent.
there was an accent?
Yeah.
This is when it fades out.
You can catch the new issue of Guys with Issues each week on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts.
Or check out our website, guyswithissues.com, where you can listen, find reading lists, follow along, and get to know us better.
You can also find us on Instagram at guys_with_issues and on Facebook at Guys with Issues.
Send us emails to longbox at guyswithissues.com and tell us your thoughts, or send us suggestions on what we should read next. We would love to hear from our listener.
You need to talk about this on the podcast. We're going to do the intro, and then you're going to be
We
like,
are talking. It's recording. You can just do your blah, blah, blah
that is
magic.
so much more work. He's like,
you
you
wanna-
could just edit it.